Sarah, a tutor at Accountancy Learning, and in this video I'll take you through the Tax Processes for Business, Finance Act 23, AAT Sample Paper 2, Task 3. So this task is all about the recovery of input VAT, and we've got parts A to D to complete. So firstly, complete the following statements. Residual input tax is input tax incurred on purchases and expenses relating to, and then we've got a choice there. And we've also got if a partially exempt VAT registered business exceeds the de minimis limit, the business can recover, and we've got another drop down. So for this then, we are going to be able to have a look at some reference material here. So we're going to look at reference material 7. So the residual input tax is all about this de minimis limit. So the answer is going to be that it is incurred on purchases and expenses relating to both taxable and exempt supplies. So it means that when you have a partially exempt business, if it's under a certain amount, then they can reclaim all the VAT on both taxable and exempt supplies. So the second part then, if they exceed the de minimis limit, the business can recover. And then it says here at the bottom, if the amount of input tax incurred relating to exempt supplies is above that limit, then only part of the input tax related to non-exempt supplies can be reclaimed. So that gives us our answer for the second statement. Moving on to the next one then. High Life is a VAT registered business and has incurred expenditure including VAT at a standard rate shown below in the last month. Identify whether High Life Limited can recover the input tax or the input tax is blocked for each expenditure incurred. So first one is hospitality provided to an overseas customer from Italy. So for this, we are going to have a look at some reference material as well. And we can look at reference material 11. So business entertainment, so hospitality that we provide is business entertainment. And in the question, we can see that it's to an overseas customer from Italy. So we can see here that the exception is that input tax can be reclaimed in respect of entertaining overseas customers. So for this one, as a standard rule, business entertainment, you cannot claim the VAT back, but if it's for overseas customers, you can. So lunch provided to a former employee. So again, it's business entertainment, but they don't work for the firm anymore. So you wouldn't be able to, that would be blocked. An evening meal provided to an employee. So that's say perhaps the employee has stayed away on business duties and they've bought an evening meal. You can claim the input VAT for that one. And then attending a sporting event with a client from the UK. So again, we are going to be looking at our reference material here because it says, but not UK or Isle of Man customers. So it's a UK client, which means we cannot reclaim the VAT. Next, the accountant of High Life Limited has carried out a review of aged receivables at the end of the financial year to 31st of March 2024 and identified some bad debts. High Life Limited does not operate any special VAT schemes. All suppliers are standard rated and payment terms are 2 months after the invoice date. So for each bad debt, we need to identify whether they're eligible for bad debt relief or not, and calculate the amount of bad debt relief available. And importantly, we need to round down our figures to the nearest penny. And if we think the answer is 0, then we need to enter 0.00. So if we have a look again at some reference material for this question, it gives us exactly what we need to do in terms of the writing off, the dates, and the fact that it hasn't been sold or handed to a factoring company. It says bad debt relief does not apply when the cash accounting scheme is used. Well, that's okay because we're told that there are no special schemes. So it has to be more than 6 months and less than 4 years and 6 months old. And it must have been written off in the VAT account and transferred to a separate bad debt account. So Purple Limited has total debts of 5,598, all of which are over 6 months old, and we're told that a bad debt provision has been made. So we may think straight away that this is eligible for bad debt relief because it's over 6 months old, but only a provision has been made. It hasn't been written off. So we must make sure it's been written off as per reference material 13. So in that case, it's not eligible and our amount therefore is 0. Pink Limited disputed an invoice totalling £498 that was invoiced in June 2023. The amount has been written off in the VAT account. So if it was invoiced in June 2023, payment terms are 2 months after, so June, so it'd be July, August it was due. And our financial year end is March. So there's 6 months, so it's been over 6 months, and it has been written off in the VAT account. So therefore it is eligible for VAT bad debt relief. So how much then? So the total of the invoice, so the gross amount of the invoice was 498. So again, we can divide that by 1.2 or divide by 120 if you prefer to do that. And then we can multiply it by 0.2 or 20%, which gives us £83, which is the VAT value. So we put £83 and don't forget to put the 2 decimal places. And then the last part then is High Life Limited received an invoice from a supplier totaling 1,200, including VAT at a standard rate. The supplier offered High Life Limited a 3% prompt payment discount if payment was received within 7 days. And High Life took advantage of that discount. Calculate the amount that High Life Limited can recover as input tax and round down to the nearest penny. So how much would High Life have actually paid? So we're going to be reducing our total bill by 3%. So our original amount was 1,200, which includes VAT. That's our gross amount. And we're going to reduce that by 3%. So I'm going to multiply it by 97, which is effectively 97%. We're finding 97% of that total value, which is 1,164. So that is the new gross amount on the invoice, and therefore what's going to be paid. So now we need to work out what the input tax is going to be on that invoice that High Life can reclaim. So to do that, we do our normal calculation, but using our new gross amount, divide it by 1.2 or 120, multiply it by 0.2 or 20%, and that gives us our amount of 194. And remember, we are to the nearest penny, so we need to put in 2 decimal places. And that's the end of the task.